At my daughter's wedding, she stopped the ceremony. Her voice, sharp and steady, cut through the music. "Mom's new boyfriend will walk me down the aisle. You're no longer needed." The room went silent. Hundreds of eyes turned to me. I didn't flinch. I simply nodded, like a man too old for anger, too tired for protest. Inside, 1,000 small fractures spread through my chest. But nothing showed. She didn't look at me again. She took his arm, the stranger's, the man who had replaced me, and smiled as if he'd always been hers. I turned to the groom. His hands trembled, though not from nerves. I slipped a small gift box into his palm. "A wedding gift," I said, my voice even. He opened it, saw the contents, and instantly dropped her hand. The ceremony collapsed before it began, and all I did was watch. It hadn't begun here. It had begun years ago, quietly, when my daughter stopped calling me Dad and started calling me by my first name. I thought it was rebellion, growing pains, but it was something else. Her mother whispered into her ear long after our divorce. Poison dressed as truth. He was never there for us. He doesn't care. He's weak. And then the final knife, introducing her new lover as father figure. A substitute, a cleaner narrative. My daughter stopped visiting. Birthdays passed without calls. And when I knocked on her door, he opened it. Always him. Standing too close, smiling too wide. I swallowed it all, because anger would only feed their story, because silence was sharper than screaming. But betrayal doesn't die in silence. It mutates. It plans. When she sent me the wedding invitation, it was addressed not to Dad, but to my name. I already knew I was decoration, something tolerated. So I became Quiet Eyes. I studied him, her mother's lover, her chosen replacement. His hands always nervous around me. His phone always turned face down. His sudden silences when the word money appeared. I followed patterns. A man doesn't need to shout to expose truth. He only needs to watch. Late nights, I traced records, bank statements, transfers, loans, gambling debts hidden in shadow accounts, all under his name. Then I dug deeper. My daughter's name appeared, tied to contracts she never signed. He was using her, dressing his debt in her innocence. Her mother knew, of course. She always did. I waited, calm, patient, because patience is the sharpest blade. The file arrived on a Thursday, neat, complete, pages that spoke louder than accusations. Every debt, every fraud, every signature forged. I could have gone to the police. I could have screamed in her face, but that would make me bitter, predictable. Instead, I waited for the wedding, for the moment she would choose him over me publicly, irrevocably. When she stopped the ceremony and gave him her hand, the room applauded. They saw devotion. I saw betrayal. So I gave the groom my gift. Inside was the file, copies of everything. I didn't say a word. The groom opened it, scanned the first page, then the second. His face drained. His lips parted, trembling. He looked at my daughter, then at the man holding her arm, and in front of everyone, he let her hand fall, stepped back, shook his head. The silence that followed was a kind of death. Her voice cracked. "What's happening? What is this?" The groom lifted the papers, his hand shaking. Your signature, loans, debt. He's been using you." The room shifted, faces blurred, and for the first time she looked at me, not with contempt, but confusion, fear. I didn't move, didn't comfort. I simply met her eyes, cold and steady. Her mother stood frozen, lips tight. The man at her side, the new father, looked suddenly small, cornered. "I trusted you," my daughter whispered to him, her voice breaking. The guests watched the unraveling. The perfect family script burned on the altar. And I simply stood in the wreckage, silent. The wedding never resumed. Guests trickled out in whispers, their faces carrying the story into the world. I didn't wait for apologies. I didn't offer comfort. I walked out into the cool night, the music behind me dissolving into chaos. For years I had been erased, rewritten out of her life. Tonight I returned, not as father, not as victim, but as truth. And truth leaves scars deeper than love ever could. I lit a cigarette and watched the smoke rise. My daughter's voice echoed faintly behind me, trembling, broken. I did not turn back. She had chosen her father once. Now she knew what choice cost. I exhaled, cold, clear, final, and kept walking.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.